Sir, once again, good afternoon, one and all. I'm audible, Gauri sir.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, you are
Okay.
audible. You are audible.
Okay. I request my colleague Vishnu Mahesh, please introduce the webinar.
Good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Dr. Vishnu Mahesh, Assistant Advisor. I heartily welcome all the participants across the Kerala who are all joined for this webinar on the NEP sensitization and to come forward for quality assurance accreditation. Today with us, the eminent speaker, Sri Dr. Gaurisha sir. I will give just a small brief introduction about the speaker, then we will start the presentation. I request participants to kindly mute your device during the webinar. After the presentation from Gaurisha sir, we will give chance to each and everyone to ask your queries with Gaurisha sir. Dr. Gaurisha is a professor and director of CES. It is an organization in Bangalore. Holds MBA with specialization in finance and marketing, MPhil in management, and PhD from Bangalore University. He has experience in quality management and accreditation of higher education institutions. His areas of interest includes quality in education and management of NGOs. He worked as a chief consultant in the technical secretariat of committee to draft national education policy, headed by renowned specialist Dr. Presented and published research articles at national and international levels and delivered many lectures on various topics related to quality of education and innovation in teaching learning. He has delivered more than 35 lectures on NEP sensitization at various national and international national seminars and webinars. He has a visiting faculty at MBA department of Bangalore University. Sir, Gaurisha sir, heartily welcome to you for this webinar. On behalf of NAAC family, to you, sir, I request you to deliver the lecture on NEP sensitization, because this is the very important juncture, because the need of the hour. So the government is announced the NEP 2020. So all the higher education institutions are a little bit confused with which areas we have to implement accurately in the higher education system. Sir, I request you to kindly take care about this session. So after this, we will join to you in the question and answer, sir. Risha, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vishnu Mahesh, for that nice introduction about me. Namaste to all the participants of this particular webinar organized by NAAC. I think it is good that NAAC has organized to have a lot of clarity on the National Education Policy 2020 from the perspective of implementation. I think 2019 onwards, there were a lot of discussion all over the country. I think many deliberations happened on the policy aspects of the new NEP 2020. I think people have given their own viewpoints and also suggestions for the draft policy of 2019 and their own opinion they have expressed towards the NEP 2020 once the cabinet approved last year. I think from last 2 years, I think academies keep talking on NEP. Good, because 2015 onwards, this entire exercise started in 2015. After that time, I think all the stakeholders of education, given their responses, opinion, ideas, suggestions to NEP committees, the 2015 committee, 2017 Kasurandan committee. I think the latest NEP document also has received many suggestions. I think this is one of the policy which has much deliberated or much discussed in the public forum or much publicly debated public policy. And it is a good thing to have a lot of discussions on the policy angle, so that once we go for implementation, we get a lot of clarity. In that direction, I think NAAC has taken this particular initiative to have series of sessions in different states, region-wise on the NEP 2020. I think some of the key ideas in NEP that we need to have clarity while we getting into the implementation. It is not just awareness about the policy. I think we need clarity why, how, and what are those key areas which we need to focus as first step towards implementation of NEP. I strongly feel the preparation for implementation of NEP itself is the starting point for implementation of NEP. So, and we should not think that launch something, introduce something, and that's how we can implement NEP. I think that's not correct. We need to start with the good preparation, good transition plan, and we know what is that key point and key areas we need to concentrate more in terms of resources, in terms of all the knowledge content, or in terms of even the other aspects which are very much required in terms of regulations and other things. I think this is how we can start implementing policy. I think many state governments in the country is already working towards that. For example, in Karnataka, they have launched the 4-year multi-entry exit degree program under the multidisciplinary education concept. Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh are working towards that. And I heard many states have made their own task force for implementation of NEP at the state level. Even central government with its various regulatory agencies, with all specialized committees, they are working on a lot of action plans, and many have already come into the public forum for discussion and also gazetted. Slowly in the country, at the state level, at the national level, the academic community has started implementation of NEP in the one way or the other way. I think there's an entire move towards quality education. So many key ideas of NEP really intended to bring that kind of a quality in our higher education more specifically. I think the key for achieving a certain kind of an autonomous status as envisioned in the NEP, key is assessment and accreditation. I think that's where NAAC is also going to play a major role in the days to come. So I think they're well thought of having this kind of sessions for the stakeholders of education to have more clarity from the implementation perspective. So let me first congratulate the NAAC, entire director sir and entire the team for organizing this. Good that the many academicians of the Kerala is there. Previously also I have taken sessions on NEP for exclusively for the state of Kerala. I think this is one more opportunity for me to interact with all of you. Vishnu sir, okay, you have allowed me already to share my presentation. Hope my presentation is visible. Hope it is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me not spend much time on the vision, mission, what are the principles of the policy, because I think by the time now everybody has gone through it, policy document, or at least you heard some or the other webinars. Mainly it focuses on quality education in addition to accessibility, affordability, and equity and inclusion. So it is the funda is basically providing quality education at the affordable cost for all. Quality education to all at the affordable cost with access to all sections of the society and all corners of the country. That's the main funda of the NEP. So bringing that quality consciousness among the students and larger academic community, so that's the whole idea. Because a lot of changes that we are witnessing in our country today, in economical front, in social front, in technology front, science, every area, India is experiencing a new kind of developments. And in the global scenario also, we are trying to place or position India as one of the important country in terms of all such new developments in technology, science, and also as a society. In that respect, lot of changes, and in between, many shocks are coming to us in terms of health crisis, economic shocks. With all this, India is trying to emerge as a knowledge superpower in the world. So we would like to have that kind of recognition globally. I think we need to work from the grassroots level to improve our education in all respect. We need to improve the quality in all respect. So that's the whole idea of NEP, to elevate the quality or standards of our own education, in all respect, in every area, all the corner of the country, and to give that kind of a remote access to the education where there is not possible to have many of the facilities, so that truly we can become a global knowledge superpower by making our students inculcating the values, ethics, required skills in addition to the knowledge component, so that they become a truly global citizen. That's the whole idea of this NEP. Uh, if you go through the NEP document, particularly higher education, it is my urge that everybody should read the 2019 Kasarangan committee report. It has given a lot of introduction and why, how, and many other details. For every policy point, there is some kind of an introduction that explains what is the scenario, why this particular policy point is proposed. So you get that kind of a details in the 2019 draft policy document which is submitted to MHRD, then now Ministry of Education. At least if that is not possible, because that is a bulky around, if you go through only higher education around 200 pages. But if you go through the 60-page document of
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir, could you put your slide in this full screen mode?
give a minute. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. At least we need to read that 60-page document. Out of that, higher education is around 30 pages. I think it is worth reading, so that we get many of our doubts will be clarified by reading that particular document. So if you go to the higher education part, there are only 3 transformative changes that are suggested in the policy. One is with respect to structural changes. Second one is regulatory reforms. And the third one is very academic one, holistic and multidisciplinary education. These are the 3 things. If you look at structural changes, regulatory reforms, it is more at the macro level. The respective governments need to take some decision and parliamentary procedures to make structural changes, or more specifically the regulatory reforms. I think that is at the macro level. That is a government initiative, state and central together. But there are many things, specifically at the academic front, holistic multidisciplinary education for that reason it is micro. I think every higher education institution has to do many things, or need to take initiatives if they would like to implement the policy in letter and spirit. Because there are certain key things. The important aspects of the multidisciplinary holistic education is to bring the multidisciplinary aspect, 4-year degree program, multi-entry exit. These are the normal things. If we go through the policy, we will make out. Even without that also, if we go through some media report, we will make out these are the highlights of the academic. But really, if you go to the details of the policy point, the same holistic multidisciplinary, multi-entry exit, 4-year degree program, we get many other dimensions. I think that's where we need to put our effort to understand the policy in the correct form for the implementation, or for effective implementation. I think that's where today we are here to discuss and deliberate upon. If you go to the structural changes, policy is envisioned to develop high quality higher education institutions in the multidisciplinary approach, and that must be large enough to have all the academic infrastructure, learning environment, and with good number of students, with multidisciplinary approach, because today we have many institutions as single stream monodiscipline higher education institution. The policy envisions to have a multidisciplinary approach in every institution, so that they can work towards the holistic development of the student. At the same time, today we have an affiliation system. So policy suggests to phase out this entire affiliation system, and like to make every institution, higher education institution, autonomous institutions. They must get the complete autonomy to run and manage the institutions. So this is the structural changes. Large multidisciplinary institution and completely autonomous institutions. So in over a period of 15 years, every institution in the country must become autonomous. And over at 2040, this is the one more target time is fixed in NEP, or at least it is stated in the NEP that all higher education institutions aim to become multidisciplinary institution with good number of students in their campus. So there are many ways to do this. And also we need a lot of further details on this from the government side. As I mentioned earlier, it is more macro. So in the few days, we may get more clarity on all this. Another structural changes with respect to the type of institution. So there are three types. Let us understand it is not hierarchical one. The institutions can move towards becoming research intensive. Every institution will have that opportunity to become university or remain as college. And it is not hierarchical that research intensive universities are on the top. It is not like that. All institutions will be treated in par, because this kind of a structure is because of the very nature. What is their focus? So research intensive universities will focus on research mainly, along with the quality teaching. Teaching intensive universities will work more towards quality teaching, multidisciplinary undergraduate programs they are going to offer, and also PG research programs. And they also conduct research. Let us understand one thing, that research is an integral, important component of higher education. Whether it is university or college, research is very, very important critical area. So every university and college must do some or the other kind of research. It can be of research for teaching or research for research, or both. So this is type 1 and type 2 kind of an institutions. And the large number of colleges which we have today as affiliated colleges, over a period of 15 years time, all these colleges has to become autonomous degree college. I think this is one important thing that we must understand here, that universities are going to play a major role in making every institution an autonomous college. Because college will make or ensure all the resources required, and they will develop all the systems internally, governance and other things required to make it a multidisciplinary institution, become autonomous with the achievement of NAAC or any other quality standards, achieving that quality standards with accreditation. But the universities which are now affiliating universities must also support and mentor these colleges to become autonomous degree granting colleges. Some colleges may need that kind of a support, because government agencies, state government, to some extent even NAAC may support them in different ways. But I think even those affiliating universities must help or support, mentor, handhold these colleges, specifically the colleges which are small or in rural areas. I think they need more lot of support. They need a lot of support to become autonomous degree granting college over a period of time. Gradually, step by step, in a phased manner, they get that kind of an autonomous status. And it happens through a graded autonomy kind of a structure. So how they move in the quality ladder, accordingly, they will get the grades in the assessment and accreditation. Accordingly, the colleges or the university will get that kind of an autonomous status. So through a transparent system of grading, graded accreditation, so every institution will become a autonomous degree granting institution. I think there even NAAC has to play a major role in the days to come to build that kind of a robust assessment system, so that that empowers and enables every institution to become a aspiring institution, quality aspiring institution, and they can become autonomous degree granting college. So I think state governments need to play and the agencies needs to play a role. NAAC has a role over there. Affiliating universities have a role over there. And of course, every affiliated college also make their own effort to become autonomous college in the days to come. And it is, I feel it as an opportunity for every institution to get that kind of autonomy, because it's a long pending academic demand. Even universities, even today, the state universities have this demand. We would, even though they have a lot, they enjoy a lot of autonomous status, but they still have that point to make in every academic discussion that university needs complete autonomous status. I think even colleges, it is an opportunity for every college to um, move upper in the quality ladder. I think it is basically a quality building exercise also. Then the regulatory reforms, light but tight is the caption that is used in the NEP. A new kind of a regulatory system is envisioned. This is based on functions. Now single agency is doing multi-functions. And this is the structure that is suggested based on functions. Each of the agency will do one function, basically one foundational function. On the overarching, that is overarching body or umbrella body is Higher Education Commission of India. I think already this bill is ready. A complete document was there in public domain for suggestions and comments. I think many of the stakeholders of education, institutions, experts, faculty like you have given your own recommendations, suggestions for the government with respect to Higher Education Commission of India. I think it is going to come into existence soon from the center. So that is the body which is responsible for quality higher education in the country. Good governance and regulatory system, establish that kind of a regulatory system is the responsibility of Higher Education Commission of India. They manage the entire higher education in the country. Under that, there will be 4 verticals. I think most of you know this. Let me not spend much time on this. National Higher Education Regulatory Council, a single regulator, and a meta-accrediting body, that is NAAC, and we will have many number of multiple accrediting agencies for assessment and accreditation. So this NAAC will basically set the standards for quality in higher education, and they give as many as required based on some criteria, approval or permissions to many agencies to go for assessment and accreditation. We need to wait and see about this NAAC structure and their role and what are the criteria they follow, how they set the standards, etc. I think NAAC NAAC, what we have presently today, they are doing most of this standard setting function or responsibility and ensuring through their assessment and accreditation. They are doing a very good job at the present condition. So this is a new thing that is envisioned in the NEP to have NAAC and multiple assessment and accrediting agencies. And Higher Education Grant Council, it is basically for financing and funding, more focused towards public institutions. Last one is GEC, that is General Education Council. This is of some interest for all of us, because the GE is an academic council, and they develop something called NHE-EQF, National Higher Education Qualification Framework. This is one important framework that GE is going to develop, and every institution, every higher education institution is going to follow this particular framework. This is a broader framework. We heard about graduate attributes, outcomes, learning outcomes, outcome-based education. So GEC will give a framework. So within that framework, every higher education institution is allowed or permitted to develop their own curriculum. So there will be a basic standards and a framework to follow. Accordingly, every institution can develop their own curricula, design their programs, use their innovative pedagogy and assessment system, and certify the student of the or award the degree on various disciplinary things and multidisciplinary areas to the students. So GEC is going to play a major role. So with respect to National Higher Education Qualification Framework, already a particular committee under the UGC is working on this. I think the draft document is also ready. So once it goes through several rounds of review and corrections, modifications, I think once it is takes shape, I think they will give it for public opinion. I feel that because nowadays every document on or every policy issues or regulatory things which is coming up from the center is going through a phase of public opinion. I think this GEC will definitely, or the presently UGC is taking care of that. So higher education qualification framework, once it is approved by the expert committee, it will come for a public opinion, and I think it will come on the public domain. Then it will become a important document for all the universities and colleges to follow in their curriculum design. And today we have many professional bodies like AACT or Agricultural Council, Veterinary Council. All these councils are going to become a professional standard setting bodies. And they work with GEC in developing a qualification framework, and also they mentor the institutions to adopt this new system of education under the outcome-based system with graduate attributes and learning outcomes, so that a good system of education we can place, and also we can follow the quality standards which accepted globally, and we have to make it reality in our country. We have to contextualize these things. And India is, if you go to some of the interior places in the country, we cannot imagine what kind of facilities are available over there. Even though institutions are very much interested to develop everything, but because of geographical reason or many other constraints, I think their entire education is backward over there. I think how to visualize all these things and implement the NEP effectively, so that we can have an inclusive system of education, so that the quality education must be available. We must ensure that must be available to all the students in the country. So this is some regulatory things. As I mentioned, regulatory changes are more and structural reforms are macro. Institutional level and individual level micro changes are also important. I think we need to discuss more on this, because now every institution, it is not only that government gives some kind of strategies, some kind of guidelines, they make regulations, and it comes to state, and state will do something on their own, or with respect to central, they will do the work and provide their regulations. All this will happen anyway. And what is the role of institution? Is it only follow all this, strict word by word follow, or whether we have a role to play? I think every institution, this is the beauty of this NEP. So it enables and encourages every institution to have their own roadmap for implementation of NEP, and adopt these strategies, or sorry, adopt these key ideas, develop their own strategies, and start implementing. For some of the things, we no need to wait for any guidelines or regulations. Institutions can initiate. So I think this is what the institutional level and individual level effort that is very much required at the micro level, because these changes are actually micro changes. So let us getting into the holistic multidisciplinary education. I think we have a system of disciplinary education in our country. These days, I think last 10 years statistics or trend, if you look into, there is some kind of experiment it is happening towards interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary kind of programs that is emerging in many institutions. And I think in terms of research, it is more evident now. Researchers, faculty, community is basically working on interdisciplinary research areas, and they are coming out with the transdisciplinary kind of research outcomes. It is happening. I think this is very much even required in our undergraduate program. So if you look into the policy, it talks more on undergraduate program to bring this very foundational change, to give a new shape to the way we are thinking about the undergraduate programs and basically the higher education. Why there is more focus on undergraduate education? We need to understand. I think about 85%, roughly 80-85% students, this is the terminal degree. I think after this, very few will go for PG and PhD programs. So the first degree itself is a terminal degree for mass majority of the students. So if we are able to give a good combination of different disciplinary education with a holistic approach that helps every student to make their livelihood and also manage and balance their personal and professional life well. So that's the whole idea. So this is the large number of students where the degree program is the end of their education. So what we need to give that should help them for next at least 30-35 years. So that kind of education, if it is possible at the undergraduate level, I think really we can achieve the desired result. Lot of comments that comes from the industry and the job market. Most of our graduates are not employable. Many such things are coming up. So, and even the students are emotionally stressed. For this is the trend today. I had seen in many state governments they have a separate cell for prevention of suicide, etc. And companies are working on stress management. So students need a lot of counseling today. I think these are all some of the indication that we need to have a different approach for our education. That is, I think, the one way of looking at it is holistic and multidisciplinary education. Even this is all institutions like even IITs. And slowly they are moving towards more holistic and multidisciplinary. I think now every higher education institution must become a multidisciplinary higher education institution offering programs of multidisciplinary nature, but must be an integrated way. They must design their programs and must deliver. So having departments in different areas or in different disciplines like language, literature, music, social science, humanities, arts, or performing arts, science, applied science, so sports, I think all these are very essential. So if it is possible in every higher education, that is very good. Otherwise, we can have kind of a cluster, higher education cluster system, where we can do a sharing kind of thing, and we can provide all such facilities in that cluster for the students of higher education. So basic idea is the curricula of higher education institutions will include a credit based or what we call choice based credit, and policy also suggested to revise this entire choice based credit system to really make it a choice based one or really make it more flexible from the learner's point of view, and even expose them to different areas like community services, environmental studies, constitutional awareness, social sensitivity, in addition to sports, in addition to your art, culture, of course, skill development, vocational skills, in all these areas must be exposed to the students. It must be an integrated way. Many of the universities and higher education institutions today they have these components. They have skill development course, they have something course on human rights, environmental studies. But can we think of something in an integrated way so that the entire benefit of this multidisciplinary approach can be given to the students over a period of 4 years? So that's the whole idea of this holistic and multidisciplinary education. So basically policy suggests for a 4-year duration of degree with multiple exit options with appropriate certification. I think people now all of you are aware about this multi-entry exit kind of a concept. Recently UGC issued a guidelines on 4-year multi-entry exit undergraduate program. It has given what are the components to be included or incorporated in the curriculum structure, some kind of a credit allocation, and how to link it to the skill framework. All this, I think they had given guidelines in their multi-entry exit 4-year undergraduate program document or guidelines recently issued by UGC. It gives a fair idea about what is the thinking behind all this. So one thing to reap the entire benefits, see the entire funda comes from the liberal arts approach. The multidisciplinary comes from the liberal arts approach. So more of operationalization is the multidisciplinary. To reap that benefit of this liberal arts approach or multidisciplinary of holistic nature, I think it requires a 4 years. So, but always students have a choice of flexibility to even exit at three year. But let us understand one thing: this is a undergraduate program. It is not a certificate program. It is not a diploma program. It is not 1 year, 2 year program. Policy suggests to have 4 years undergraduate program, and students have every choice for various reasons. If they are becomes inevitable for them to exit, they have some kind of certification. So that's the whole idea. one more thing that is already a reality, that is Academic Bank of Credit, ABC. So digital storage of the credits what the student earns. So it also enables the student for mobility from one institution to another and one state to another state. Already gazette notification issued with respect to Academic Bank of Credit. The very thinking behind this, I think I have few slides on ABC. There I will discuss what is this ABC and how it is going to be implemented. So what are the criteria, etc. So I think it's a one good thing for all the, from the point of view of students, basically learners, in terms of digital storage as well as the student mobility. And no division of curricula, extracurricula, or sports, co-curricula, etc. That's what I said. It is going to be an integrated way of giving education with all these components. So every component, students will have an opportunity to make their own portfolio, take the subjects even from the sports, co-curricula, extracurricula, and as a part of mainstream education, they have to experience it. They must be exposed to these areas so that they get a wholesome picture. So basically, it develops a perspective for the students, and sometimes it is also an opportunity for students to pursue their passion. So in addition to the whatever the profession they are going to build or career they are going to build, it's an opportunity to pursue their passion. So I think so we need to provide an undergraduate program in a more integrated way. So skill education, vocational education must also be part of the undergraduate education. Skill is a very important component, and students will have a lot of choice. They can select the different areas, different disciplines, and they can make it a multidisciplinary program of their own. The possible extent, the universities can build, have a design of that kind of a system or program structure so that it becomes very learner friendly and also give that kind of a perspective for every learner. Even today also we have this problem of pedagogy, how to design the pedagogy, which are the pedagogies is applicable for which topic or subject wise, discipline wise kind of a methodology. This is basically an upskilling of faculty requirement. Why? Because multidisciplinary education or a holistic nature that is required, that demands certain kind of a pedagogy. If you give a pedagogy of only lecture method or some kind of laboratory sessions or some kind of skill orientation, that is not enough. Our very approach should be an experiential learning kind of thing. So more of discussion. So that kind of a different portfolio of pedagogy, if it is possible to use, I think that is very good. So I think we need to think all about all this. And finally, continuous formative assessment. We need a summative assessment also, but I think we need to more concentrate on formative assessment. I think these are the things where every university can play its own role in their regulations, in their curriculum design. They can adopt all these things with some kind of deliberations to make it more contextualized for the particular state and region. I think every university can definitely work towards this. So colleges can think of how to, if some colleges are already autonomous to some extent as per the present regulations, they can definitely think of adopting this system. So if affiliated colleges, they can definitely work on this pedagogy part, formative assessment part, and how they can provide the skill, vocational, and the curricula, extracurricular, co-curricula in an integrated way. I think every college needs to work towards this. And also, I think a lot of support or training has to be given for faculty members of the colleges. I think in that direction, even IQAC has to play a major role in every college because ultimately, target is fixed now for every institution to become autonomous degree granting college, if you strictly ask me. So over a period of 15 years time. So how to achieve that? It's all about quality improvement. So I think IQAC need to develop a strategic plan to how to move towards an autonomous institution. So they must design, they must come out with the specific targets, milestones to achieve, benchmarks to achieve. So I think they need to work a lot so that the institution become autonomous degree granting college offering multidisciplinary programs. So the target is clear to all of us. Only thing is based on our own capacities, competencies, resources availability, we need to develop our strategies by setting the goal. Whether I would like to become in 10 years or 15 years or in 8 years an autonomous college offering the degree programs. So I think every college need to work, IQAC need to work as a very strategic unit of the institution. So I think this all of you know. I will not focus more on this. Every exit point there is some kind of certification, certificate, diploma, bachelor's degree. The 4 year if the student completes, now it is called as honors degree. And if student takes specifically research as their focus area in the focus area, specifically in 4th year, so they get a research degree. So honors with research. So even Karnataka, they have made it as certificate, diploma, bachelor's degree, honors degree, and honors degree with research. So the latest university documents also has given this kind of nomenclature. They also mentioned some 7.25 or 7.5 CGPA. So first 3 year, if the student able to have that kind of a CGPA, 7.25 or 7.5, I'm not sure. I think we need to refer the document. Only those students will become eligible for honors with research. All students are eligible to take the 4th year honors, but to take the research degree, I think they must have some kind of a CGPA score. That's a one kind of a check is there. Why? Because if you complete 4 years research degree, then straightly you are eligible to take the PhD program. So that's the reason they had put some kind of a requirement over there or a prerequisite over there. One important thing here, what is a certificate, diploma, bachelor? Presently, we have a skill framework in our country. So these courses must be developed, all the programs, undergraduate program, whether it is BA, BSc, BCom, it must have a skill development component in addition to knowledge and multidisciplinary approach and other things. It must achieve the levels in the skill framework. So I think certificate, first year of degree, skill framework, as per skill framework, it is level 5, then level 6, level 7, level 8. So that kind of a skill must be integrated with the mainstream education in every program. So student will achieve that standards and the entire education system will be based on the graduate attributes. So student with first year, if they complete, one is he will get recognition for that 1 year degree. Otherwise, you call him as PUC pass. If he completes even 2 year degree, you call him as PUC pass. No recognition for his learning. That is one is recognition. Second one is this diploma certificate is ensuring the students and to the market or the industry that the students acquire certain skills. He achieved certain skill levels in the skill framework. So some kind of an employment or livelihood definitely that student can make from this. So for any reason, personal reason or some kind of circumstances, it makes any student to drop out at the first and second year level. So this gives a recognition and also some kind of an opportunity to earn the livelihood. That's the whole idea of making this system of certificate, diploma, bachelor degree, etc. So this is the one important thing. In the days to come, policy said very clearly, this 4-year multi-exit certification at each level must be according to the higher education qualification framework. So that framework also will have the component of skill. I think all of you are aware of this. Let me not spend time on this. 4-year degree program, only 1 year PG is required. 2-year PG program, like today. So for all the 3-year degree program students, only 2-year PG. Integrated 5-year program also can be offered by the institutions. If it is 4-year bachelor program honors with research, then student is eligible to go for PhD program. So this is the revised higher education, holistic and multidisciplinary education that is envisioned in the policy. I think all of you are aware that no more MPhil. Government also has a responsibility in implementing the policy at the very development and establishment of institutions. MERUs, multidisciplinary education and research universities. Policy envisions to have in every district, at least one Meru must be there. So that is the policy statement. I think government is going to be responsible in the coming years to establish or recognize universities as multidisciplinary education and research universities in every district. So research and innovation is going to become an important element of higher education. I think it is good to have some kind of incubation centers, skill development centers within the institutions, and also have some specific plans or strategies for collaborating with institutions and have interactions with industry for research work, for internship, or many other things, even for curriculum development. I think we can interact with the industry, social organizations, etc. All this is going to be an important part as envisioned in the NEP. And I think this all happens at the institutional level, having a incubation center, skill development center, industry interactions, internship and apprenticeship programs, and integrated programs with embedded with the internship, etc. I think it should happen at the institutional level, college and university level. I think we need to work out some kind of a long-term strategies for collaborations. I think this is, all of us know, vocational education. Normally students who are not able to go to the mainstream education, so they will take the path of vocational education. This is the scenario. Always these degrees are even treated badly otherwise. So this is the scenario today we have. I think we need to revamp or reimagine entire vocational education. One thing is, there is BO courses today and many other courses on vocational skills. I think we need to strengthen that, because policy said very clearly, so whatever that BO courses that is introduced in 2003 will continue. That will going to be there offered by every university, but it must have a complete changes or more robust and comprehensive, so that the student who take this vocational education must get that kind of a recognition, and also he must be able to take an employment or start its own business or getting into the entrepreneurship. I think we need to have that kind of VO courses in the days to come. Second one is, every higher education program, undergraduate program, must have the vocational course. Wherever possible, in whichever discipline, we must have the vocational skill as one of the important component of mainstream education. So that is very clearly said in the in the policy. So by 2025, at least 50% of learners to the school and higher education must be exposed to vocational education. So it starts from school education, developing that attitude, and activity-based learning will make them to have some kind of inclination towards vocational skills, and slowly introduce them the vocational skills at the secondary level, and higher education make the integral part of the undergraduate program. So I think gradually it must be integrated. So I think vocational education is going to have a different kind of an approach in the days to come under the NEP, and Lokavidya is going to one of the important initiative under the vocational education for our country. And also there are some possibilities the NEP is left to the institutions to look at the courses, vocational courses through ODL model also, wherever possible. That must be explored. So I think the MHRD has to constitute a committee for integration of this entire vocational education, to restructure the vocational education, and they must support the institutions to have their incubation centers, and also encourage more of industry academia interactions, and set some kind of a standards for all this. So I think Indian standards today it is almost aligned with the international standards classification of occupations, and also that is maintained by the international labor organization. So even the credit-based framework will also facilitate mobility across general and vocational education. Today it is very difficult. Students can move from vocational to the general degree program and general degree program to vocational. I think that kind of a credit system also need to be developed in the days to come. That is the requirement. How I think every institution and university must think about this. We need to bring this liberal approach, a learner-centered approach for our education, with the help of multidisciplinary and holistic nature of education. So we must integrate all the skills component, vocational component, or what you call foundational things: ethics, environmental consciousness, social sensitivity, constitutional human rights. Everything must be integrated for an overall development of the students. So that is the entire thing. I think it is envisioned in the policy. I think I suggest, if possible, you read the book called College, written by Shekhar Mazumdar of Ashoka University. He has written a very small book on the liberal arts science education. He introduced that term there, college. It gives a lot of perspective towards this liberal arts or multidisciplinary education. I think this already I explained. I think it is very important to have an approach towards multidisciplinary to build that perspective among the learners. So I think that's the whole idea. Today, if you look at the importance of skill development, not necessarily the vocational and professional skills, even the life skills have become very important aspect for everybody, not only for students. It is required for all of us to develop an intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional. I think if you would like to groom the students in this way, with the overall development, what we normally call, I think we need to integrate. We must go for multidisciplinary education. So I think very disciplinary approach will limit the student. It is not that we expose them to many disciplines, so student will not have an what is the deeper understanding from discipline. It is not at the cost of disciplinary knowledge at all. Multidisciplinary will have a disciplinary knowledge. The student will be exposed and given opportunity to get deeper into one particular discipline. It is not at the cost of one disciplinary knowledge. In addition to the deeper understanding in one discipline, he will be given some kind of information or knowledge in other disciplines. It is basically exposing the learner to different disciplines to develop that perspective. Today, the entire work system in industry, or if you start your own enterprise, or even in the college and universities, institutions, the teamwork is the concept. So the team with the different discipline people need to sit and deliberate and discuss and do research, R&D work, then something will come out. Whether it is in science and technology or in any other areas, whether it is service industry or manufacturing industry or in the knowledge industry. So I think that is a team concept is emerging. So industry needs students or learner, their young employees with this kind of a perspective. So I think the higher education is the best time. Undergraduate education is the best programs to give that kind of a perspective to the students, so that they'll be able to discuss and come up with solutions or alternative possible solutions for various complex problems which the industry faces or particular organization of society faces. Even if you look at the economic issues, societal issues, it doesn't have only one angle today. If you think about any new technology, every industry had to think about the environment. Every industry had to think about the social use and economic contributions. So I think this is the today, even the government agencies, if they are thinking about a road construction, infrastructural development, or any new scheme that is for society, they must have understanding of different angle, or they must think from different dimensions. So there is something called societal dimension, environmental dimension, or even other perspective. Science people need a lot of humanities understanding. So, humanities and social science people need some kind of a understanding from technology perspective. I think this is the concept today that is running across disciplinary boundaries, geographical boundaries. Things are happening in the society, industry, community, and our economy. So that's the reason we need to develop our students. It's as somebody said, if we prepare students for first job, that is not enough. We need to prepare them for second job, third job. What do you mean by that? It is not only for job, it is to have a better career. And even in the look at the today, how systems are changing, how circumstances are changing. We are not only having economic shocks, sometimes health crisis like this. So even the young generation become panic many a time. I think they must be able to think, they must be take rational decisions, they must be able to maintain their emotional stability. I think we need to give lot of such skills which are required. So we need to provide them a whole range of life skills in addition to professional skills and subject knowledge or knowledge orientation. See, this is the whole idea of liberal education or multidisciplinary education. Now it is a privilege of few students. There are many liberal arts institutions today. So-called those institutions are charging like anything. Maybe some of them are giving it very cheaper cost, but many institutions are charging. And it is the privilege of only that section of the society. If every university is able to give and introduce this multidisciplinary approach in their undergraduate program, entire gamut of the students who are coming for higher education, 85% who comes for higher education, the first degree is a terminal degree. They will get that benefit of multidisciplinary education, and let us have the understanding that it is not at the cost of a disciplinary knowledge. We must expose them to the 21st century skills, foundational literacies, competencies, character qualities. I think all the three required. It must be integrated with our program. I think many of the institutions today, they are offering skill development programs. I think that is a separate course itself. That is dangerous. If it is too technical, there is nothing wrong in having a separate course on this. Otherwise, it is good to integrate with the subject or course that we are offering. In every course or subject or paper, we can definitely teach or definitely expose a student for all these skills through various kind of assignments, assessment tools, or even the pedagogy that we use, how we involve the learners in entire teaching learning process. We can definitely give these skills to the students. Whichever subject we are teaching, whether in commerce, management, science, arts, whichever subject that we are teaching, definitely we can expose them to this in a very realistic way with experiential learning process. I think we need to focus more on this 21st century skills. So I think if it is possible to integrate by every institution in their undergraduate program, and more importantly, every individual faculty, if they are able to integrate these things in the different courses which they teach in the classroom, I think that's going to change, that's going to make a huge difference in entire teaching learning process, and also that gives lot of competencies to our students. Our students are very good in knowledge because the faculty does a wonderful job in transmitting the knowledge. Finally, how to use that knowledge, how to apply that knowledge, and even skills. We give a lot of skill orientation training, etc. But finally, students will have that gap. That's where many students will comment. What is there in industry? What we learn in the classroom entirely different. There is gap. So because students are not given that kind of a training where they know how to use the skills. We have an integrated approach where every subject, paper or course, if it is integrated with the skills required, I think that does the job. So because experiential learning will make them to understand, and also it makes them to apply in similar situations. It is what the whole idea of even the outcome-based education. So NEP talks about 21st century skills. NEP talks about multidisciplinary holistic education. NEP talks about learner-centered education. So normally we carry with the 4-year undergraduate program Multientry Exit. How to bring quality component in that? Which are the key ideas that is stated in NEP here and there if you read the document? It is learner-centered education, multidisciplinary holistic education, outcome-based education, 21st century skills. All these are part of the NEP ideas of the policy document. So we need to address all these three areas: curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. What is worth learning? How to do student learn and teach. So that is the pedagogy part. And how do we know whether students have learned? This is where the continuous formative assessment comes into picture. Today, most of our assessment tools and techniques which we are using at the higher education level and mainly concentrates on, because they are summative, that is also required. They mostly concentrate on the assessment of learning. I think we need a system, assessment for learning. We must ensure that students have learned this. It is not just a certification process, term and examination, and finally we say, this is your marks and you are certified, whether pass, fail, first class, second class. No, the responsibility is that ensure learning. This is basically, what is that? Not responsibility, even more than that, building an accountability. So it is assessment for learning. So I think this kind of a entire structure we need to revisit from the existing and what is the new thing required to offer the multidisciplinary undergraduate program. I think we need to do a lot of changes, or we need to redesign entire thing with respect to curriculum that includes your content, pedagogy and assessment. So graduate attributes, I think every institution can think of developing their own graduate attributes. Otherwise, you get a set of graduate attributes from the respective bodies. That gives a overarching framework for us as part of National Higher Education Qualification Framework. So that gives an indication how we need to design our undergraduate programs. So graduate attributes, which has all the three components: knowledge, skills, and attitudes. All graduates should possess us and will make them effective professionals. If they are going out, they must go with this knowledge required, skills required, and the attitudes required so that they become successful in their personal and professional life. So that's the thing. Our entire program is designed so that the students will have those graduate attributes. Accordingly, we need to design. It is basically a reverse mechanism. So these outcomes are set now, graduate attributes, program outcomes. Accordingly, we design our content, our pedagogy, our assessment tools, and then we will do the certification. The entire process will ensure that the learners had gone through all this, they learned, the competencies are developed, they are able to have the skill required, knowledge component is equipped, and so that they are ready now to face the challenges of their life with that kind of graduate attributes. I think this is the thing we need to look into at the higher education level, more specifically undergraduate program. This is one model I had given here for outcome-based education or graduate attributes. Like that, if you look into the NB accreditation for engineering colleges, there is similar kind of approach is there. So they have 12 such graduate attributes are there. Let us understand it has a knowledge component, it has skill components, and also attitude component. I think we need to move towards the outcome-based education. That is very, very crucial. There is some references in NEP towards outcomes, learning outcomes and outcome-based education. I think this is one operational model every higher education institution must adopt. If you look at the NAAC criteria 2 in the assessment and accreditation, they have also introduced in the revised scheme, they have also introduced some of the criteria with respect to learning outcomes. That is basically comes from the outcome-based education. Now today, professional educations like engineering, they have this kind of a system of outcome-based education as part of AICT initiative and NBA assessment and accreditation. I think in the days to come, this is the one important thing even for general degree programs. Outcome-based education, we must have outcome-based curriculum, what the student should be able to do, graduate attributes, outcome-based learning, that is teaching and learning must be driven by outcomes, how to make the students achieve the outcomes, that should be the objective of entire teaching learning process, more of learner centered, and everything is more specific, and it is a kind of a promise that you are giving to the student that if you go through this particular course, this particular program, this degree will give this kind of outcomes to you. You will be equipped with these competencies, these knowledge components, etc. So then you build entire mechanism to ensure that learning and finally certify for this entire holistic learning. So we must have a curriculum based on outcome based education, the teaching learning process based on outcome based education, and finally OBA, outcome based assessment system. How to measure what the students have achieved, and the approach is the assessment for learning, and then build that confidence among the students system that student is able to deliver after this particular program. So that kind of a OBA we must develop. So I think there is a lot of references on outcome based education. So what is NEP implementation? Where to start and what to do? I think these are the things we need to pen down, and finally you have to build your own strategies and you need to build a roadmap. So last part of my discussion today is Academic Bank of Credit, ABC. So I think it is already launched. The Academic Bank of Credit Gazette notification has been issued. Every higher education institution in the country is going to become part of this Academic Bank of Credit. So students will be given account, a digital account like a bank account. So whatever the credit they earn through different programs or different courses, that will be deposited in this particular account, and towards the end of the program they can redeem and they can get certified. So it's like an how individual how in a bank account operates similar way. Every student will have one academic bank of account for storing the digitally storing their credits, because it is also there in the policy. Student can go to other institutions registered in one university, take an admission, but he can earn certain credits from other different sources, maybe some other permitted institution, or he can do online MOOC courses or permitted recognized online courses. That credits also will be stored into the Academic Bank of Credit account. So whatever the credit requirements he has to fulfill, once it is completed, he will be awarded the degree. So student no need to go for giving that certificates to the parent institution and get it certified, etc. It is not required, because all the allowed allowed courses are recognized learning platforms and also the institutions. If the student earn credits from that, it will be stored. And finally, the student who gets the credits more than 50%, that institution will award the degree. And it is, I think it is there very clearly in Academic Bank of Credit. Student must earn 50% more credits from the institution where he registered for the program. So I think it is an online storage for all the credit that student earn, and it gives an important database for the even the system as such to have to understand how entire thing is moving. So this entire ABC will be established on the lines of the National Academic Depository. So a kind of an entire technology will be developed for this purpose, and facilitate the students to have that kind of a flexibility in their learning, and they should can definitely go for different courses in different sources, so that they can build their course portfolio from different institutions to get that benefit. Also, it helps every higher education institution. I think now institution need to think how to make ABC functional in their university, in their college. So every higher education institution, as of now, institution with A grade, NAAC A grade are permitted to join the ABC. I think there is some announcement or some information even from the central that not only A grade, other institutions also will be given opportunity to become part of ABC, so that ABC will become a more functional and help the entire learners community. So even the students earn courses from online modes, MOOC, Swayam, etc. They can store the credits over there. The parent institution must recognize that, and student can redeem the credits. If I am permitted to use the term, they can redeem the credits to earn their degree program. And it also helps to the multi-entry exit concept. Student exit at one point of time, you can come back to the course and continue. So its credits will be stored, and the latest UGC guidance says the students is permitted to come back within 7 years from the exit. So his credits will be stored over there. It helps the student also to continue the education in whichever degree program he has opted for. I think college is more responsible for the registration of the ABC. I think lot of technology related issues are there. I think require a lot of training for faculty members or the institutional members to operate it initially, and for carrying out the purposes of the academic bank of credits, the commission, the separate commission will come up, may even provide financial and administrative assistance for the higher education, basically recognized higher education institutions, because it is a technology and also a entire new thing. I think it needs a lot of skilling required or training required for institutions and faculty members. So who are eligible? I think I already mentioned, this is the 4 criteria have been given. Institutions comes under this. For example, top 100 national NRF ranking institutions are now eligible. I think some kind of changes definitely the UGC or Ministry of Education is going to introduce to have more number of institutions to participate in ABC the days to come. It is a responsibility of higher education institution to monitor and develop and make it operationalized so that it is updated regularly and functional one, so that students get the benefit out of it. So registered higher education institution has to give a lot of training, etc., for their faculty members and administrators to manage this. I think a lot of such programs needs to be initiated. I think in the days to come, even the agencies like NAAC can think of a quality improvement programs in adopting the ABC and other curriculum issues, including technology integration in higher education. But NAAC can think of such programs in the days to come for the benefit of the accredited institutions and also motivate the non-accredited institutions to get into the quality framework. I think these are some of the key things in ABC. I think that is going to be already it is in place. It is going to be the reality in the days to come. So if you look at the entire NEP, something micro, macro, when come to the micro, institution has to play a major role. How to bring that multidisciplinary culture or attitude among the faculty members and develop that kind of a system to have multidisciplinary programs and run it successfully. I think there is something even institutions need to do a lot of awareness programs for the student and parent community, because this must have an acceptability. Then definitely you get a lot of response or you get positive response. So that's the reason I think awareness program for students or other stakeholders like parent, I think it is very essential. So institutions must now gear up to understand very funda of multidisciplinary education, outcome-based education, learner-centered education, so that whether it is an affiliated college or autonomous or university, can definitely develop such kind of programs at the undergraduate level that helps the students community or learners community at large to face the challenges of 21st century. So they are going to have many such challenges in the days to come. It's fast changing world. Every 2-3 years technology is changing. The jobs become absolute and more pressure. So how to manage all this, balance all this? I think in that direction, I think every institution need to think. There is even teachers have to play their own role, faculty members. I think we need to be upskilling, update ourselves to implement NEP effectively at the institution level. So I normally I say this in the sessions. There is something called international. We must be par with the international things. So there must be an acceptability for our degree at the international scenario, and also they must recognize our education system. So we must progress and develop globally. So there is something called international. So second one is India level. So implementation of NEP, the visualizing the entire thing, roadmap at the central levels, it happens. I think the central government is doing a lot of work towards that. That is the India level. Then the intra-state level, within the state, I think every state government has to play a major role in visualizing the key ideas of NEP and set certain kind of targets in the implementation strategy, develop a particular roadmap and provide the required resources and move ahead for effective implementation of the NEP from the very learner's point of view. And the fourth one is institutional level. Every university college had to play the role. I think throughout my sessions, I made a lot of references on that. The last one is individual level. So to make the policy point successful implementation at the grassroots level, I think the individual role, like faculty role, is very critical. So I think we need to work out strategies and develop roadmaps to have a wonderful quality improvement journey so that we reach the institutional goal and contribute towards the society and the country at large. Thank you very much for listening to me. Now I think this is the time to respond to your questions. Sir, over to you. Vishnu sir, hope you're online. I completed my presentation. Now I'm open for questions from the audience. If there are any questions, next 10, 15 minutes definitely can take it.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. I'm Dr. Mohammed.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please, sir. Go ahead, sir. Good evening.
Your presentation was quite informative. My simple question is whether any top universities or any autonomous colleges already introduced this ABC program already.
Sir, ABC now it is conceptualized and regulations are made.
Okay.
Now I think now it is the time now to introduce ABC in every in universities or colleges because it is completely based on technology. We need that kind of technology. I think the work is going on to develop technology and also register the institutions. So otherwise, for example, the Karnataka is ready if the if we get a clear picture on the registration, etc. Karnataka is ready to take the ABC in a very true sense. In like that, the states are ready. Some of the institutions are ready to join the ABC. But only thing is, regulations are set now. But I think we need to develop the technology and make it really operational one. So I think a lot of work is going on towards that.
Sir, one more point to supplement. Technology part may be somewhat easier, but see, the university laws are the main hurdles, I feel.
Correct. Absolutely. That's the reason I said very clearly.
Yeah.
Regulations part, every institution has to redesign.
Yeah.
So in Karnataka, I think universities, it is not the state, every university, because there are autonomous unit. So
Because
they
within
are
the state
changing the
itself, sir,
regulations to
within the
make
same
the
state, okay.
make
In
the
the
NEP operational one. They are including that component now.
okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
So they are creating even the regulatory part. The universities and states are creating some kind of scope for it. So once it becomes operationalized, it becomes easy for them to get into the ABC.
Okay, thank you.
And sometimes it is not only regulations and even the how you develop your programs and how much flexibility you inbuilt. That is also important factor.
Exactly. Because in affiliating, even within the state itself, see, the degree given by one university within the same state is not recognized by another university.
Correct. These problems will be solved if you are able to.
That is the current state of affairs. So forget about this. Of course, I am optimistic that things will change, but we have to push up.
Yes, yes, sir. Some
Okay,
more
okay.
time is required. You are very well said. That is true. What you said is true.
Fine, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gaurisha, sir, see, with regard to the present assessment system,
Ah, sir.
we know that it is mostly knowledge assessment. And we have been talking about knowledge, skill, and attitude in the new system,
Yes, yes, yes.
which is so much flexible and which is very important because the present system assesses only knowledge, which just they memorize and vomit in the exam. And we don't really, I mean, it is also, it does not focus on the individual capacity because every individual is unique. Each one is to be top. It's not that one takes the first rank and second rank, third rank, etc. So how is the assessment system is going to change? I mean, in the new system.
Jarin sir, you well said. Basically, our assessment system is more of summative, and it tests only the remembering and understanding part. If you take the Bloom's taxonomy, so we never test the analysis and critical thinking part or the evaluation part and creating part. So we are bottom of the pyramid. That is lower order skills that we are testing through our assessment. Policies suggest for a continuous formative assessment. So we need to decode from that because policy is a directional statements. It will not offer any actions or suggestions.
Yeah.
2019 Kastarangan committee has some kind of references for that. What we can do best is we will definitely have summative assessment, but we will introduce formative assessment in such a way that there will be multiple assessment tools. For example, project, group, in addition to the internal assessment test and creative assignments or many other or seminars, whatever that today we are following. So we can have a whole range of, or I call it as a portfolio of assignments must be available to the students. Number one. Number two, traditional assessment tools. So I think that's the one of the important tool. So their classroom participation, their involvement in activities. We conduct in college many programs, activities, conferences, etc. Student will play a major role in designing fest cultural programs, and they implement, they take off everything through their committees and teams. We never recognize as an assessment tool. So we will appreciate them after the program for success. We will never do debriefing. What are that skills you have learned? How? Because it is not the learned. They demonstrated in their cultural program or the activity which they organize. So that is another way of more of subjective. I understand because I think this mentorship. So I think mentor can give some kind of a scope to assess and make it more quantitative. It is possible. So knowledge, attitude, and skill development, I think, demonstrate the skills in certain situations that is based on the experiential learning process if you involve or during project and teamwork and the program which they organize, you can definitely assess this skill. Professional skill can be assessed through the techniques which are available in place now, even whether technology or any other professional skill can be checked. So I think a variety of assessment tools we need to use as a portfolio so that we can definitely assess all the three components of education: knowledge, skill, and attitude. These are three components of outcome-based education. So that is what the formative assessment, that what normally we can definitely follow. Second thing, even while drafting our question paper for the term and examination, we need to go for more of higher order skill testing question paper, that is analyzing, evaluating, and creating in the Bloom's taxonomy. So teacher has to spend a lot of time in even uh, designing which question to ask and how it should be asked. Or you have to make a case, or how student can write a different answers for the questions. I think we need to do a whole lot of thing, even developing the question paper. So that we can make the question paper also check whether student have really understood one thing. Second thing, whether they're able to think in the direction where similar situation comes, are they able to apply it? I think that kind of a assessment type questions or type of questions we need to develop or we need to design question papers. That is my answer, Cherian sir.
Thank you, Garisha sir. I mean, you have said rightly, but I don't know how in practical terms it will be worked out, and lot of objectivity is required and lot of complex. It is very complex.
Correct,
And,
correct. I agree with you. I will tell you, now some of the central universities have their system 50% internals and 50% summative assessment. Karnataka, they made now 40-60, 40% internal assessment, and they had given a whole range of options for assessment. But finally, it is the college and the individual faculty. They need to ensure that only the internal assessment marks should not be a given kind of thing. We must ensure that it must be earned by students. Such kind of enabling environment, of course, we need to develop. I'm not against giving internal assessment marks, but make them learn and demonstrate, then give that internal assessment marks. I think a lot of individual and institutional credibility issues also there. So how these institutions take it, it goes accordingly. You rightly said it, sir.
thank you, thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam.
Hello, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam. Please go ahead.
Sir, thank you for this wonderful session, enlightening session on actually making us brainstormed about what is going to happen in the next 15 years. Sir, my question is actually a little bit of regard related to the application towards the NAAC process, sir. We need to integrate this now before we apply for our SSR, all the colleges. Ours is a health science college, a nursing college, basically, sir. So some of the things, my first question is, sir, whether NAAC would appreciate us to write the entire answer of how we are preparing our institution towards NEP preparedness in 500 words, or each section should be with 500 words. How is it, sir?
No, I think NAAC, I think present what is the NAAC assessment accreditation tools are there. If you are applying now, whether the first cycle or second cycle, you need to go with the existing system. So according to the questions which are asked in each of the criteria and sub-criteria, accordingly you need to answer. So it is not that how you are implementing NEP, so that is not the question. But understand, for example, your curriculum development is one of the first criteria, curriculum, related to curriculum. For a college, I think if an affiliated institution, you don't have much for the curriculum development. But you have to give a lot of inputs with respect to curriculum enrichment. How your value, you can take the clues and spirit from the NEP and with your curriculum enrichment strategies, so that demonstrates that how you answer the questions, that itself demonstrate that you are preparing yourself for next level, that is NEP implementation, and move on. Come to the criteria 2, learning and assessment, outcome-based education. If your entire system of OB, if you are able to implement or at least start implementing at your institution, technically write the learning outcomes, program outcomes, course outcomes, and what is that evaluation pedagogy that you are using to ensure outcome-based learning, and finally, what is that assessment system you are following to ensure the outcomes from your undergraduate program. The whole that range, the whole system, if you are able to implement in your institution, or at least you start now, and if you give that information to NAAC, that indicates that you are moving towards maintaining and developing quality within and quality standards within the institutions, and also you are in the right direction for implementation of NEP. You no need, I think, at present system, or even after that, you no need to specifically mention that implementing NEP, you are implementing NEP. That's not the case. That's the reason, if you look at my presentation, I have taken from the NEP, decoded from there. So how to integrate with the quality improvement strategies at the institution level, that is what to do. I think NAAC, if you look at each criteria, NAAC has some of these components. So you now, while making your own institutional strategies at the IQAC level, you think of this NEP and do it. That becomes automatically your answers for assessment. And don't do anything for assessment and accreditation. Do for quality improvement and developing your institution. That automatically becomes inputs for assessment and accreditation. I think you will be able to fulfill the requirements of NAAC.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, one more doubt, sir, regarding this multiple entry and exit points, sir. So, considering a profession like medicine or nursing, in the long run, even if we try to implement, we may be in future faced with the issue of licensure, because if we allow our students to enter in between or leave in between, the continuity or medicine and nursing are professions which needs to be continuously completed in order to be given licensure. So, in such cases, would you like to comment upon the applicability of multiple entry exit points, sir?
Any program, not only medical sciences, any program, any discipline, whether it is science, arts, commerce, technology, student must go entire 4 years program or 3 years, 4 years, whatever. They must complete. There is no second thought on that. Then only they will be can have that benefit of going to having a degree program. This exit point is only for those students. I think normally every college will have this problem of dropout. 2-3%, 5% students will drop for various personal reasons. So if they go out of the education, then how do you recognize? Now there is no system to recognize their 1 year, 2 year learnings. So this exit point certification will help them to recognize what they learned in first year and second year, number one. With that certificate, they can go out and find some job. They can make some kind of a livelihood. That's all is the idea. And the program is not 1 year, 2 year certificate diploma program. It is a degree program. It is applicable for all general degree programs. When it comes to the medical, I think the very MBBS and medical courses are out of NEP, which comes under Medical Council and even Law Council of India. It is not under NEP now. So all other programs are under NEP. And I think it is. I think they are not getting this opportunity. So I'm empathize with the medical and law college students and institutions and the entire system. They are not getting this opportunity to revamping everything to the present day requirement. Anyway, that's a separate discussion together. We need to wait some more time to have regulations. So which are the courses? As you rightly pointed out, some of the programs, if they exit, so even the certificate may not become that much use for that. So some kind of regulations we need to work on how to exclude some of the programs, or if it has to be include an entire program, as you said, nursing and other things. What is that component for first year to find exit? What are the components for second year? So what is that revamping has to be done? I think greater discussion needs to be done. I think professional councils and general education councils will do a lot of exercise towards that. I think need more discussions to come out with a framework for all these.
Thank you.
We can find out something even in the nursing program. If they complete exit with 1 year, what best you can provide them in 1 year? I think we need to think towards that. Some kind of answer or strategy may evolve from our discussions. Further discussions required. So it doesn't mean professional courses like or medical courses can be exempted from this. It is not possible. I will not agree at this point of time, unless otherwise we'll have a greater discussion on that. And also
Okay, sir.
in the people, other stakeholders.
Can I ask some questions, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
There are two voices are coming.
Yeah, some noise actually. Okay, fine.
Ratesh LP, who is asking question? Ratesh or
Selvagation. I'm Selvagation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, just question. The first question is actually we are talking about three different certification, like certification, diploma, bachelor degree, and UG program. And in specific, I would like to talk about this UG program, the degree with research. What do you mean by degree with research? So we are already offering 4-year BTech program, out of which some project is also there. There they gain some kind of research attitude also. What do you mean by that actually here?
Okay. So 4-year program is called as honors program. If students take research very specifically, in such case, they will be exposed to a lot of research skills, also methodology, tools, techniques, etc. And then they will go through a detailed research work, that is, you can call it as dissertation or whatever, so that you have acquired the research knowledge and skill, exposed to that kind of work also. Practically, the research project they do. So that means the research becomes their major in the 4th year finally. So in this case, this is called research with the degree, so that they will get direct admission to PhD, all entrance exam. Now, general degree programs for undergraduate level, they have some project work, but not really the research knowledge and complete research skill development or a dissertation kind of thing. So if students are able to take that as their major in the course in the final year, so they will be, it is called as degree with research.
Okay. Yeah, in that aspect, maybe I'm thinking that there may not be PG courses may be required. Suppose if you say, if you say something like undergraduate with some degree with research aspect, which leads to a PhD program, suppose if you take it in this way, so there is no PG courses may be required actually in the NEP program. Is it like that?
It is said it in NEP also. 4 years with research, they know 2 years of or 1 year of PG. They are eligible to take PhD with entrance exam.
I have just
4 years honors degree need 1 year PG.
Yeah.
But degree with research, they don't need PG to take PhD admission.
Yeah, I have one more question actually. See, since we are IIST, Department of Space, so we have fully autonomous system here. We have freedom to do that. But I'm looking at the university colleges or affiliated colleges, private colleges, how they implement such a course actually, whether university will direct or every institution, private institution can take part of their own way of assessing the NEP.
Now, at present, since the most of the colleges comes under affiliation system, point of time, affiliated colleges are not permitted to design their own curricula and not even permitted to have their regulations. They follow university regulations and curricula. I think now universities, they need to develop all these curricula and regulations which enables the key ideas of NEP. One best thing university can do is they must think of involving, they must involve even the affiliated college representatives in the entire curriculum development exercise and even for regulations and other things, and to make a roadmap for implementation of NEP. I think they must involve affiliated colleges. As college, curriculum or the content, syllabus, what you call normally, comes from the university with a set of guidelines and regulations. But pedagogy or range of assessment that the institution can do, all these things are with the institutions only. Whether it is affiliated or not, it is with every college. I think they need to take the key ideas of NEP, and on the spirit of NEP, they need to deliver it, and they need to do all this assessment. So that what is university thinking and the college are thinking will be aligned, and colleges must invest on their human resource or faculty members, so that autonomous college over a period of 10-15 years. So how to strategize everything. There is something called institutional development plan, which is the policy. Leadership and governance at the institutional level. Every university, college must be run and managed by an independent board of governors, and they manage the institutions according to their own institutional development plan. So that is the way the institution must think. So in aligning with the NEP. So, but otherwise, at present, the university need to work in collaboration with the affiliate to come out with the strategies and roadmap for implementation of NEP, whether it is in terms of curriculum design or any other initiatives in the line of NEP.
Okay, okay, thank you very much.
No, but sir, if any further questions are there, I'm happy to take. Otherwise, I think we can conclude the session.
Yeah, sorry, I have one more question in my mind
Please,
actually.
please, sir, please, sir.
I'm thinking, yeah, because this educational policy should come from schools first of all. We are talking about higher education, how we are incorporating this NEP. I feel some problem we may face or our students will face when the moment we are bringing such a culture NEP to the higher education suddenly instead of growing from schools. What is your view actually in this aspect?
Sir, I have a first of all, because if you would like to introduce NEP at higher education after implementing in school education, that takes 12 years from now. So policy window is up to 2040. So if 12 year goes in implementing school and then come to the higher education, I think practically it is not the right strategy or practically impossible or not to think, not a good thinking according to me. So I think there is nothing wrong now in introducing the multidisciplinary approach of education at the higher education level. It's a transition period basically. 3 years, lot of confusions and questions, experimentation, do and modify, these things happen. So without disturbing the learners' requirements, something in the transition period, it is acceptable. But we must keep the learners in our mind. So otherwise, this whole transition period will take a good number of years even after implementing at the school level. And I know there is some kind of forward linkage from school to higher education, but at this point of time, definitely we can start introducing the many of the key points in higher education, NEP at higher education level. Right, introduction to your holistic program itself is one such example. Definitely, we can think. So let us think that now we are starting in school education at appropriate levels, because in school education there are 5+3+3+4 system. I think at each level, governments, respective state governments can think of intervening and start implementing policy. The next batch, after 2-3 years, you get a batch that goes through the secondary level, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. They will have this kind of forward linkage. So that time, transition period. That time, I think higher education will settle with respect to NEP. Institutions will be NEP ready. That is also required. Now we are thinking to make a roadmap, strategies, launch something, but finally we must be NEP ready institutions, and also we will be able to take it forward without much of confusions and revisiting, etc. I think there is nothing wrong in starting the implementation of NEP even at the higher education level.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for your suggestion. Yeah.
Okay. At this says, we have a complete plan of NEP implementation for higher educational institutions. We call it as NEP initiative. Awareness, actions, and then achieve. These are the 3 levels we suggest for any higher education institutions. Have the clarity on NEP points. Have a deeper understanding of the very ideas in the NEP. What is the spirit behind it? Implementation perspective. So that is what we call awareness. We do a lot of workshops on the awareness. Then we action. That means start developing the roadmap, strategies, whether it's affiliate college or autonomous or university, start thinking towards that and develop or do all this work, faculty development, etc. Then achieve that. You are now able to launch and do something so that you start implementing your strategies, that you will develop IDP, etc. So that you are moving towards autonomous, you begin the journey, that is called achieve. So these are the 3 levels of NEP Ready initiative that SES has developed. And we are working with some of the universities and colleges inside the Karnataka and outside, supporting them, working with the institutions and universities for implementation of these key ideas envisioned in the NEP 2020.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for me to discuss with all of you on NEP 2020. Almost every day we are talking to different academicians and stakeholders of education, discussion, webinars, seminars, workshop that I involve from the SES. This is one more such experience that NAAC has given to me. I thank the NAAC for this opportunity, the director and entire team. And I thank all the audience for your patience listening and also participation during the Q&A session. I think from the larger point of view, you take the entire system of education, we need to move ahead with quality. I know that there are a lot of problems in different states. So policies till 2440 we have time. Unless always we think about challenges, I think it is not possible to move at all. Most of the time we normally talk about problems, and this is there for a number of years. Earlier policies also contributed a lot for our education system. Now it is the first policy of 21st century. This is our nation's requirement is changing. I think we need to change our entire culture for towards education. It is a cultural shift in education. What you can call it as an mindset shift or an attitude, any term that you can use. I think that is a good change. That envisioning a good change is always a good. I think we need to work towards implementation. Otherwise, every good policy will not have any good value addition for the system. Considering the present system of our country, our local region, our own states and every corner of the country, the overall development, society, community, science, technology, everything. And also from mainly the learner's point of view and quality of education, I think we need to talk more on challenges. And of course, if we start thinking about challenges, NEP is a directional statement which we have. Let us do the strategies for implementation of NEP so that we can face all those challenges and we can contribute towards the entire system of education and definitely build the future of India. We are demographically blessed, we have young population. Let us think after 30 years, 40 years, the cycle change. If you would like to reap the benefit of this young India, I think we must give a good education, a quality education. We must give that kind of skill and knowledge for our students with the with a multidisciplinary approach or whatever that things we discussed today. I think that is the core essential thing. That's how we need to think and move on. That's my request and bottom line of this session. So let me thank again NAAC and all of you. Namaste. Over to you, Mahesh sir. Any NAAC representative, Mahesh sir, Mohan sir, Kamble sir, anybody is there online?
Hello.
Sir, namaste. Dear participants, thank you very much for all of you joined from the Kerala region and utilized this webinar successfully. Special thanks to Dr. Gaurisha sir. He is an expert resource person in this webinar. Thank you wholeheartedly, sir, on behalf of NAAC family and my personal behalf. Thank you very much, sir. I also take this opportunity to thank our senior most advisor, Dr. M.S. Shamasundar sir, and Dr. D.K. Kamble, assistant advisor, Dr. N.R. Mohan, assistant advisor, and also special thanks to our ICT department, Amya Kumarat, Samuel, and Pushalakshmi, to support ICT facility to complete this webinar successfully. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all.